So last week was the first time in Russell Wilson's career that he was shut out in a game he started. But it's not unnatural for Russ to lose at Lambeau, as he actually moved to 0-5 in his career games in Green Bay. I think a big storyline for this game that basically might throw off our picks, I don't know which way you're leaning on it, is Kyler Murray is still questionable to start this game. He says he's close. He practiced today. DeAndre Hopkins didn't practice today, but it's looking like it could be another Colt McCoy game. And then factor in that Colt McCoy actually had a little bit of an injury himself. Now he's playing through it, but that is something that could potentially spring up during the game and is something that you have to keep in mind. All to say, Colt McCoy did win in Seattle last year. You have made it a point to list that on the podcast a couple times when 13 for 22, 105
you mean
yards
the fact
and a touchdown.
that Colt McCoy and Alfred Morris won a game in Seattle last year for the New York Giants? Yeah.
Yes. This is the first. Yes. This isn't your typical Seattle Seahawks who just instantly win at home in Seattle, albeit in their career, Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll, when they've been together, are 7-4 as home underdogs. For the simple fact that I don't know who's going to be playing quarterback for the Cardinals on Sunday, I will go with the Seahawks. I will write off what happened last week to the Seahawks as rust for Russ, because you don't see Russell Wilson play that bad ever. He just didn't look like he had the pocket awareness that he usually does to scramble and make some big plays happen. In fact, he misinterpreted some throws that he usually makes, like, for example, when he got picked at the corner of the end zone last week against the Packers. So I think that as he plays more games and gets readjusted to the offense, the Seahawks are going to be a dangerous team down the stretch with no real separation in this NL wildcard picture. And I think that this is the opportunity for them to get right and at least take advantage of a winning situation where they might not see the best players on the field. And even if Kyler is in this game, I will add that I could see him having a similar thing to what Russ had to go through, a rusty week in which he just needs to get re-antiquated to the offense. And maybe also, given that he has a lower ankle sprain, is a little uncomfortable moving around in the pocket. I think it's more likely that the Cardinals sit him just because they have a bye week next week. I think that would be the wise thing to do. But for those factors, I do have to say that the Seahawks should get the win. Also, quick fun fact, Jamal Adams got his first interception for the first time in 2 years. So, woo, shout out to you, Jamal Adams.
Yes, I feel weird every time the internet does Jamal Adams stuff because I'm like, I don't know why we dump on him for being a linebacker. I'm like, he's a really, really good linebacker.
It's just the thing, he does play safety.
Yeah, I know. I get why people do it. I just don't know why it's a bad thing that he's a really good linebacker.
Draft capital.
He's just... Yeah,
the trade.
Fair.
He got traded for 2 first-round picks.
That's fair. You traded 2 first-round picks for a top 10 pass rusher. That's kind of where I guess it's at. All of that is interesting. What's fun in the case of this game is not knowing what the quarterback is. Remember, going back, I would say 2-3 weeks ago when we were doing the podcast and you talked about, can the Cardinals make it without Kyler Murray? I think this was right before the 49ers game. So this would be 2 weeks ago. I said at the time, Cardinals could go a month without Kyler Murray. They'd be fine. If the regular season at this point is not it's not irrelevant, but for the Cardinals, they're going to be either NFC West champions or the 5th seed in the NFC. It's going to be one of those 2 options. Maybe they'd like the home field advantage. Maybe they wouldn't. But if they had to exchange Kyler Murray getting fully healthy and trading home field advantage for that, I think they'd probably make that trade, because if you don't have Kyler Murray, and now they don't have JJ Watt, and obviously DeAndre Hopkins is battling injuries, if you don't have those guys, you've got no chance, as we saw the Carolina Panthers do when they dismantled them this week, which was a weird result nonetheless, but that felt more like the Arizona Cardinals than the 49ers game felt like the Arizona Cardinals without Kyler Murray and without DeAndre Hopkins. That felt more like a representation. Well, I guess I should throw in JJ Watt. Without Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins, or JJ Watt, that felt more like a representative version of the Cardinals. Where they probably stand is somewhere in between, which is a fine team, a team that can get by, which is why I felt like they could make it a week, a month without Kyler Murray. And I think that's probably what they do. If he plays, cool. If he doesn't play, cool. They'll get the bye week. He'll get more healthy. I'm sure these guys are all battling injuries at this point. Similarly to Russell Wilson, like if you've heard the talk from his doctor, like as someone who's like a hand specialist is like, it's amazing that he's playing right now. The fact that he's good enough to play with all the plates and screws in his finger for the past month or so. Like it's like a Russell Wilson saying, I'm going to get back on the field no matter what, being the company man of like, as soon as the team doctor clears me, I'm going to give it everything I have. I want to play as soon as possible, which good, bad, whatever it might be. Russell Wilson could re-injure the hand or have a performance like the Packers where he's just not ready to play and they just go up against a really good defense and gets, 0 points, even though it felt like they were always going in to score, but then they would like turn it over on 4th down or get an interception in the end zone. Like it felt like they were always going in to score, but they never actually scored during that game.
Yeah,
so
very sloppy game.
Yeah, I think that's Russell Wilson not being healthy and the Packers having the best secondary in the NFL for the most part. So again, this is a worse combination of we don't know who's going to be healthy in this game and picking Seahawks games, which I believe I'm like 0-3 or 0-4 on this season in trying to pick. So I'm tempted to just pick the same thing as you, but then I embrace the Lane Kiffin, Dan Campbell, Brandon Staley mindset that punting is for cowards. You should never punt. If it's 4th and 9 in your own territory, you're going for it. If you're Frank Reich and it's a tie game against the Texans, but there's 2 minutes left, you're not playing for ties, you're playing for wins. So you're going for it. If you're Man Campbell, this is my favorite stat of the entire week, because we're not going to talk about the Lions, because why would we talk about the Lions? My favorite stat of the week is that the Lions have gone on 4th down 25 times this year, which is 5 more than the next closest team, while also being 27th in the NFL in 4th down conversion rates. I have seen Jared Goff not once, but twice throw the ball away on 4th and 4 this season. Just decide I'd rather just throw it away and give them the ball than make an interception. All of that to say, punting is for cowards. I'm going to take the Arizona Cardinals on the off chance that Kyler Murray or DeAndre Hopkins plays in this game, because if they don't play, I do like the Seahawks' chances. So punting is for cowards. I'm going to take the Arizona Cardinals in this game.
That is definitely a phrase that I'm more than happy to adopt. Punting is for cowards.